I believe we're having a problem with Paula's audio. We will fix that as soon as possible and bring Paula into our coverage. You're watching here live pictures from our affiliate WCBS. Nightfall now in New York, which of course raises some concerns. I want to bring in here in Washington our Homeland Security correspondent Gene Reserve, who has been working vigorously, trust me, throughout the day to try to find out how this happened and what will be done about it. Gene, the latest?
John, I just talked to an official with the New York Power Authority. They run that big hydroelectric power plant up in Niagara Falls, New York, and they are denying reports that is where this all started. They say they have had no lightning strikes. They have been producing power all day long. Quote, it has been the rock of the system. They say because of its size and its design, that plant and another hydroelectric plant that they run in New York State have been up and running through this entire thing. They are denying flatly that their plant might be the one where this problem today originated. I will say I talked to someone in the city of Niagara Falls. They suffered a power outage also there for about 4 hours this afternoon, but they noted that some things were up and operating, including the border crossings. They said the bridges were functioning as they normally do. But once again, New York Power Authority strenuously denying that they had any lightning strike or that their plant in Niagara Falls is where this blackout began. John?
All right, Gene, so still some conflicting information to sort out. Canadian officials who initially said a lightning strike are now saying a fire, but they still say this originated on the New York side. Gene Reserve, our other correspondents will continue to pursue that. I should tell our viewers we will bring you as soon as possible the videotape of a statement made just moments ago by President Bush to reporters in California. We can tell you as we await the tape, the president said the federal government has offered to help those states affected cope with this blackout. He said emphatically, quote, this was not a terrorist attack. That from the President of the United States. Mr. Bush also says the federal government is working with the half-dozen states that we know have been affected by this to help restore power as quickly as possible. And the President saying the federal government also will be involved in the investigation of the possible cause. We have heard throughout the day, of course, a dispute about how this might have happened. Was the electrical power grid up to speed on this? The president himself saying he believes the United States electricity grid should be modernized. As we await the videotape of the president's remarks from California, I want to bring back into our discussion CNN security analyst Kelly McCann. Kelly, post-September 11th, the power grid was viewed as a target. The president today saying it should be modernized. You see in this, we're still trying to figure out exactly what happened, but it is not a terrorist attack. A lesson.
Oh, absolutely, John. I think that you very rarely do you have a chance, anyone, to see what happens when a power grid goes down. I mean, they normally don't happen here domestically anyway, very frequently. And I think that people who would harm us certainly will take note of this, because you can see here playing out on the TVs, although no one's being hurt, there's obvious ramifications that are immediate and vast when a power grid goes down. As the president said, there is a security concern, maybe not at the hydroelectric plants where there is a level of security where there's, just from a safety standpoint, you have to be careful of access control. But from that point down the line, if you will, to where the grid is, we are very vulnerable. And I think most security specialists would agree on that.
Kelly McCann will stand by and help us with our coverage. Again, we are awaiting the videotape of a statement by President Bush made moments ago in California. As we wait for that, some conflicting information about just how this might have happened. The Canadian government saying a fire at a Con Edison plant in New York. New York officials saying, at least as of now, there was no lightning strike, as was previously said. Perhaps not a surprise in such a hectic situation. Some conflicting information. We will try to get to the bottom of that. The big headline, of course, from the federal government perspective, not a terrorist attack. Those words spoken by President Bush just a short time ago. As we await that statement from the President of the United States, Leon Harris rejoins us in Atlanta.
Yes, John. Let's see if we can get some more clarification of some of these conflicting reports that we've been hearing in the last few minutes now. Joining us right now on the telephone is Michael Jett, who is the president of the North American Electrical Reliability Council, which basically is the organization that runs the grid. He joins us now on the telephone. Mr. Jett, can you tell us exactly what happened? Did a strike, was there a lightning strike on the north side of the border in the U.S. or what?
I can't tell you what caused this, but I can agree with the New York Power Authority that that's a lightning strike is it's virtually impossible that would be the cause of this. We're looking at all aspects of this. It encompassed the complete circle around the Great Lakes, of course, including Canada. And when the lights are all back on, our teams will go into the field to take a look at the records and talk to people and try to figure out why this happened. The system is supposed to be designed for this not to happen. This is most complicated machine in the world, yet we have the most reliable electric system in the world, and largely because we operate to a uniform set of rules that are designed to prevent this from happening. So either somebody violated the rules or we don't have the right rules in place, and we're going to find out.
Do you have any idea at this point where that violation may have occurred? If this is not supposed to have ever happened again, as we heard New York Governor George Pataki say earlier, this was not supposed to happen, and it did. Can you say where the rule violation may have occurred?
Not yet, but we have some places to start.
And ultimately, who was responsible?
Yes, we will get to the bottom of this. We will know, and as the president said, the government will join us in this investigation, and all aspects of this will be considered and rectified.
Then tell us then, what are your concerns right now? If you in your heart say that this should never have happened before, in your mind you believe that there were enough fail-safes put in place, enough precautions taken to keep this sort of thing from happening, what are you concerned about? What do you think may have happened?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Will you be the one who makes the final determination? Is this your responsibility?
Yes, it is my responsibility. I will have at my call, though, the leading experts in the world to make this determination. So my technical expertise may be a little outdated, but I'll have people available that will be able to get to the bottom of this.
Can you give us an update right now on exactly the state right now of the entire system? Where do you think you have power right now? How soon do you think it'll be up throughout the entire system?
Well, when you talk to the individuals, the officials like the governor of New Jersey and people like that, you'll get a more up-to-date local estimate than I can give you. But I can give you an overall perspective. We had lost customers to the tune of about 10% of the entire eastern interconnection, which runs from east of the Rockies all the way to Florida and to Maine into Canada. A lot of that was restored quickly, and now, as you heard from the governor of New Jersey, the lights are coming back on in northern New Jersey. Somebody commented earlier about the lights coming on in New York. So it's being gradually restored. The problem is that when these power plants, these 20-something power plants, came offline as a result of shakeups on the system to protect the plants, they get cold, and it takes time to bring them back up. Most of them are thermal plants where you heat water, make steam, generate electricity. So the ones that use natural gas can be back.
Thank you very much. Now, I believe we do have the audio problem straightened out with Paula Zahn, who is standing by in New York. And Paula, are you there right now?
I am there, and I can't really make out whose voice that is very clearly. Leon, is that you?
That is me, Paula.
Okay, I think you've got us up. Leon, thanks so much. I just, for those of you that heard the top part of my last report clipped, I just want to give you a sense of where we are right now. We're on the border of the Chelsea and Greenwich Village area of New York City. That's south of the Midtown section of the city. And just as we have stood here over the last 20 minutes, we have seen pockets of lights come on. You're looking to the south at Jersey City right now, where we believe there are a couple dozen buildings where power possibly might have been restored. It's difficult for us to tell because some of these larger buildings are run on generators, but we saw them come on in a wave of power that suggests to us the power has been restored there. And then directly behind me, as we look downtown to the financial district, we have also seen about 6 buildings appear to come online. Once again, it's hard to confirm whether it's generators that brought that power back on or not. It is a very serious situation here. The governor of New York has declared a state of emergency here. Anybody involved in the New York Police Department and the New York Fire Department has now been asked by the mayor of the city to come in and assist. Although some remarkable things have been witnessed here today as the power went out in the city. There have been, we have been told, dozens of acts of kindness where general citizens have walked into the street and assisted people crossing the streets where the stoplights have been out. We even heard about a ice cream truck delivering free ice cream, particularly in the area around Penn Station where thousands of people are still stranded. Now, we also have heard that the state of New Jersey, as the governor has just confirmed, brought in some 500 buses to the area, to the Port Authority, where a lot of the bus traffic leaves from, and apparently some of those folks are now on the way home. At one point today, some 500 trains, according to the governor, were stranded. People had to be evacuated from them. We have heard stories of people stuck in subway cars underground for a period of up to an hour and a half and had to break open doors to crawl out. So it has been a pretty dicey situation. Now, Leon, right now, we have just been told that it is very difficult to get in from the major bridges coming into the city. How I got in fact, was by helicopter. I tried to get in from a suburb north of New York City, about 45 minutes away. The chopper ride ended up being 10 minutes, and what we saw is something quite rare for suburban folks who live here. First of all, traffic was moving on the major arteries surrounding New York City, probably because people had to find different ways to get home. One of the other odd sights, as we came in down the Hudson River, we looked at the apartment buildings hugging the coastline there, and I've never seen so many people enjoying the swimming pools that are a part of their apartment complexes. Just wanted to give you another sense of just what the temperatures were here today, 93 degrees, but the humidity was just absolutely horrendous. So people are uncomfortable, and about the only cheers you hear this evening are from the buildings blocks away where we think power has come on. So that, Leon, gives you a very general sense of what we're putting up with. I just want to show you how we're getting our information up here on the rooftop, because we have no incoming lines to monitor any of the television coverage. We've resorted to our battery-operated radios, and this is how most New Yorkers have gotten their information today. It is hard to believe, looking at the skyline behind me, that what the mayor has just said in his news conference will come true, that things will be back to normal sometime in New York City. In the meantime, there are New Yorkers cynically saying tonight, this is one of those rare nights where you'll actually see the stars in the sky over Manhattan. So Leon, that brings you up to date, and the next hit we'll hope to bring you more information from this part of Manhattan.
Very good, Paula. I'm glad to see that you were able to make it up there. Paula Zahn there live in New York. Right now, we want to continue our coverage, but as we said earlier, we're still waiting for a statement coming from President Bush. Let's go down to Maria Hinojosa, who is at Con Ed in New York. And Maria, what have you been able to find?
Well, you know, Leon, it's the sight that you never imagined that you would think to be seen, that in front of Con Ed headquarters, the workers are walking around with their flashlights, and that's the only way that they're getting around. So in the lobby of Con Ed headquarters, what you're seeing are people just walking around with flashlights. And just ahead of me, I'm on 14th Street, and I'm able to see just the shadow of the Chrysler Building now disappearing. There have been some lights coming on around this area because we're in backup generators now. So there has been a strange sight, actually just half a block south of where we are in front of the Con Ed building is a huge, let's say, 14-story NYU dormitory, which is the top 3 floors, which are fully lit up. Now, that should not be mistaken as electricity returning to this part of Manhattan. Those are backup generators. And a lot of what's happening inside Con Ed headquarters here on the 14th floor, which is where they are heading up the distribution and engineering, and on the 16th floor, which is where all the management and administrative offices are, they're making decisions about where they're going to be sending backup generators throughout the city. Of course, some places have those backup generators in place. Also across the street from the Con Ed headquarters is a part of the Beth Israel Hospital Center. And so I can see maybe about 10 offices that have lights on. It's just very sporadic, so it looks quite strange to see just a few lights on there. There is less traffic in the area, no doubt. The strange sight, again, of seeing people walking through Manhattan streets with flashlights. And in some of the restaurants, one of the restaurants right across the street here from Con Edison, they've got candles out in the front and actually have put candles in the restrooms because that's one of the things that people are looking for as they're trying to make their way home. But inside Con Ed, no light in the entire building, only emergency lighting along the stairwells and in some of the key offices. And in the management offices, we're